welcome to another episode of Author Fan Face Off. We've got one awesome author, one great fan. Pick a book by that author, and we're going to see who knows it better. I'm Steve Sheinkin, and my co-host is, of course, the leaping librarian, Stacey Rattner.
Wow!
Welcome. And our guest author today, Linda Sue Park. Thank you so much for joining us. So we're going to talk today about A Long Walk to Water, 2010. So going back a ways, but this book was I just know from your talking about the research, a very personal project for you and one that I'm sure stayed with you.
Yes, it's based on the true story of a dear family friend. So, he was my main source of information, and I interviewed him for, I don't know how many hours and hours and hours until he got really sick of answering my questions. But it really was a collaboration. I always think of it as Salva's story and my words.
Okay, that's well said. All right, well, you have a very worthy challenger today. Stacey will do the introductions.
Yes, today we've got Chastity, who is an 8th grader from Illinois, and she's so happy to be here and so excited. I just love her already. And she loves books. So excited to have Chastity with us, and we're ready to jump into A Long Walk to Water.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So I will start with Chastity, and then Linda, and then Steve will ask the next two questions, and we'll go from there. So Chastity, where was Salva when the fighting began and he found out that he had to leave his village?
School.
Yep.
Wow, just like that, bam.
So awesome. And Linda, who was the first family member that Salva met in his travels?
Would that have been Uncle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yay.
All right, I'm just going to keep going with Chastity. Salva's eye was swollen shut after a meal of this, but he says it was totally worth it.
Honey? Was it honey?
Bee?
Yeah.
It was honey, yeah. We don't see it happen, but I like the way you just start the chapter with his eye swollen, and they're all bitten up, but he's like, totally worth it. All right, so Linda, from their homes in Sudan, Salva and his group walked east toward this country.
They were walking towards Ethiopia.
Yes, correct. Very good.
All right. Keep going. Chastity, Naya refers to this device as the iron giraffe. So what is it?
I don't know. Is it like the thing she put on when she's walking? I don't know. I don't know.
Linda, want to help her out?
Yeah, sure. It's the drilling rig. It's really tall. So she thinks it looks like a red iron giraffe. So, and actually, it's not mentioned that much in the book. So I can understand Chastity having a little problem recalling it. But now the campaign that Salva's organization runs every year for schools to raise money is called the Iron Giraffe Challenge. So that's why it's sort of front of mind for me.
Okay. So Linda, so how do you pronounce her name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. A nurse advises Nya's mother to do this to water from holes in the lake bed before drinking it.
To boil it.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone remember for how long? Is there really specific detail?
Right. She's supposed to count to some number. Yes. I can't remember how high.
It's 200 is the number. All right, my turn to some questions. All right, Chastity. Boys who were displaced by war to refugee camps and the journey to refugee camps became known as this in America. How were they known? What was the name they were known by?
Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now we're moving on to the Ifo refugee camp. Salva he says he learns these two things from Michael in camp. What were those two things?
He learned English, and he learned to play volleyball.
Yes. Right. Chastity
Chastity knew that one.
And I have gone. Both Salva and I have tried to find Michael. He was an Irish aid worker during this span of years in Ifo refugee camp, and we thought that might be enough to try to track him down. But so far, we haven't.
Oh.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
All right, Chastity. This is a small detail.
What a surprise.
On the plane from Nairobi, Salva asked the flight attendant for this drink. I almost think maybe we should switch these and have Linda answer that, and maybe Chastity.
Yeah.
All right, let's do
Okay, we
that.
can do that.
I think Chastity will know the next one. Yeah.
Okay. I have two guesses, but I'm pretty sure that at that point he asked for Coca-Cola.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So Chastity, once he got to America, he lived with his family in this city.
New York.
In New York. Do you know what? That's the state he was in. Do you know what city he went to? In New York?
I think the state's good enough.
What was the city?
Rochester.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I knew it was.
And we were talking because Steve asked me if I've ever met you, and like one time very briefly, but we're outside of Albany, and
Okay.
we met Salva. We took a field trip and went all the way out to Rochester, so we met Salva. And
that's
Chastity
great.
really amazing. That was an amazing day. So, is he still in Rochester?
No, he now lives in South Sudan.
Oh, okay.
And of course, he usually comes 2 or 3 times a year, but of course he hasn't been here because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
When was the last time Salva was in the U.S.? If I can ask that, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. It would have been right before lockdown. So I think he was here like in February of 2020,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, because then everything got shut down and nobody could go anywhere.
Author fan face off, who will know more? Author fan face off, we're keeping score.
Why did you come up with Naya's point of view?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so what I wanted to write about was 2 different parts of Salva's life. His escape from the war when he was a kid, and then what he's doing now, bringing water to people. And those 2 things are at least 20 years apart. Okay, so I could have written the whole thing, but I think the book would have probably ended up about 400 pages. Okay, and I really, really wanted teachers to be able to use this book in class with their students. And that's too big for that. I wanted to keep it, around 100 pages, maybe 125 at the most. All right, so I've got this big hole in the middle. And if I could say, do Salva's part of his childhood and then say 20 years later, and then do this part, but then everybody would be like, wait, what happened? What happened in the middle there, right? All right, so when Salva puts water in a village, it's this incredible thing that happens for somebody else, right? For people like Nya. So I decided that what I would do is I would take that part of the story and sort of move it right up to the beginning and alternate, okay? Now the hole is still there, but maybe you won't notice it as much if I do this, right? So there's only a very brief section about him in the refugee camp. There's only a brief section about him adjusting to life in America. And then all of a sudden we're at the work that he's doing today. So it was kind of to cover up a hole, but also to sort of emphasize that what he's doing now is as extraordinary a thing as, somebody who escaped from him. He came here, he had nothing. The refugees who come to this country are the poorest people on the planet Earth. He had nothing. And then now he's doing this amazing thing. So I wanted to write about those 2 parts of the story and sort of give them equal weight. So that's why I made Nya a character. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.